Welcome to the AI Unplugged AI Mastermind. And today we have some fun things to talk about. We are going to address legalities of bots, training information, and such. Had a conversation with a lawyer this week so that we could quote him on this session. And Katie's got some highlights of what's going on out there in AI world that she'll give us information on. And we also want to talk about a little quiz that we're doing, an AI assessment for businesses too. So, Katie, over to you.
Okay. So today, for the news this week, there's some fun happenings as far as tools and AI applications go. A lot of us work in marketing and communications, and we don't really think about AI being applied in other sectors like agriculture, for example. But there's a really cool AI tool that is helping with livestock management as far as counting. And I can share that with y'all so you have a visual of what that looks like. Can y'all see my screen okay?
Yeah.
So this is how AI counts sheep, and it's not for going to sleep. It's literally for counting how many sheep are being contained in a certain area. And this can apply to any livestock situation, but it's nice because they show you here the registration zone, the count line, and the deregistration zone. And it even has like a longer video. If you're really into watching AI count sheep, you can watch this video right here. But one of the cool things with this tool is it is able to classify and localize the object. So you could use this for other applications as well. It doesn't have to be just animals or livestock. There's an object tracking algorithm and then the registration zone, which you can see up here, where when the object comes into the camera's view, then it knows to start tracking it. And as soon as that object goes across that line, it counts it. And then after it goes through here, then it's not keeping track of it anymore. So I just thought that was like a fun little, not really in our industry, but it's cool like to see what AI is doing in other industries as well. And probably there's some application, I can't think of one off the top of my head right now that I personally could use this for, but I like the concept of it. So I thought that one was really fun. And in other news, there is a new home security device that I think would be perfect for the Home Alone movie. So this is called Paint Cam Eve, and you can actually, they're doing a Kickstarter for this. So if this is something that is up your alley, you can sign up for their Kickstarter. But
Oh,
basically, it's a paintball firing system powered by AI. So if you have an intruder on your property, it will start shooting paintballs at them. And I think it's like a pretty cool idea. They have a
yeah.
really fun video. Where is the video? Let's see. It's probably down here at the bottom somewhere.
Oh.
Um, yeah, so this, if you have a moment to watch this video goes into detail about
Actually,
like
man, create
how
face
it
allows me to.
works. Can y'all hear the audio? I don't know if I shared audio or not. You
Yes.
can? Okay. So I was trying to get it to where, okay. So this part right here.
5 seconds to leave the property. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Zero compliance. Zero tolerance.
Bob and I are tightly connected through his mobile phone app. Whenever I detect an intruder, I alert Bob about the situation. With a few taps on his screen, he can control my course of action and instantly add trusted faces to my database.
So I thought that was a pretty fun idea. I could totally see somebody using it for the wrong purposes, like that pesky neighbor kid coming into your yard and just shooting them with a paintball because you feel like it. But that is coming out through Kickstarter.
So that's a real thing. That's not like a parody or like a
No,
joke.
it's a real thing. And I really appreciated the way that they marketed that. They are marketing it. If you watch the videos, it's always the AI bot talking to you as a consumer. And it's like, hi, I'm Eve. This is what I can do for you. I can shoot paintballs at intruders and I have zero tolerance and blah, 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 blah. So I thought that was fun how they were doing the marketing for that too.
Yeah.
All right, let me get back to my list here. I accidentally closed out the entire window when I closed that out. So if you read the newsletter, there's a little blurb in there about whether or not AI is actually taking people's jobs. And there's a nice article on Wired where it goes into, it's really hard to say right now if AI is actually going to take people's jobs, but the conclusion of the article basically aligns with our viewpoint with AI, which is if you start working with AI now, and you're leveling up your skill sets in conjunction with AI as a co-pilot, then you don't have to worry about your job getting replaced. What is more likely to happen is people who are not implementing AI, they are going to fall behind and they are going to be replaced by people who know how to use AI within their jobs. So that link is in the newsletter. And I would definitely read that article. It's very interesting because it's talking about being an early adopter with AI, which I feel like everybody here is. So, and then the main, well, there's two other stories, and then there was one use case I wanted to share. But this one was like a little fun one for me. So Star Trek's holodeck is being created. And that is like a dream come true for me. The way that they are utilizing it right now is a little different. It's a simple form of the holodeck, but they are able to create 3D environments for training and have AI agents come into these 3D environments. And they do like wineries or daycare centers, and they're using them to kind of test different 3D renderings to see how realistic they are. And you can find more information on this study on Science Daily, which is linked on the blog in the newsletter. But it's all powered by AI. And it's literally like moving into that direction where we're not just going to have like augmented reality, we'll have our AI mixed reality where we can play with these things, these ideas right in front of our faces with our hands. And so it's in the simple stages right now, but it is the beginning of like the holodeck. So I thought that was really cool. And then go back here. Has anybody ever heard of the internet is dead theory?
I don't think so.
Do tell.
So the dead internet theory, or the internet is dead theory, is the idea that the internet is just like overrun with bots. And we were kind of talking about this with Facebook, how we're constantly getting spammed by bots and spammers, like saying, oh, your Facebook business profile is, it needs to be deactivated, or this is your final warning. And then like bots chatting with bots. On LinkedIn, you might get a message from your bot going to somebody else's bot. And so the theory is that the internet has become a place where it's no longer people interacting with people. Instead, it's people's bots interacting with other people's bots. And it becomes very kind of back to what we were talking about. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, but the bots are used to push specific narratives or sell certain ideas or products or services. So as far as this being related to AI, it's we've kind of seen this where people have relied on AI 100% as a content creator and just put articles out there without using any human to edit them or oversee them. And with the recent Google update, a lot of those domain authority for all those websites, they crashed down because they were relying so much on AI to create their content. And that goes back to like you being the source of truth, you being the human driver, and making sure that, there's still that human element to it. So it's kind of one of those things that we see on a daily basis, but whether or not it's 100% true is kind of subjective, depending on who you're interacting with. Because I know when I log on to Facebook and I'm hanging out in groups, it's a bunch of people there. But I do kind of feel like some websites I go to, it's a little bit of an echo chamber. And so that's kind of where that theory comes into hand. And just thinking about all of the content that's being generated by AI, it could perpetuate that theory even more.
Yeah, you can create websites with AI and all the content on them and have it all automated if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And the images and background images and everything.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like just thinking about how people are reacting to AI too. On some, you might see some threads where people are like, wow, that's amazing. But then you might see another thread where people are like, oh, I'm so tired of all this AI stuff. So it's literally about how you use it. And I think we've been abundantly clear that we prefer having that human co-pilot, or the human driver, and the AI as being your co-pilot there. So and then the last thing that I wanted to share was a little image use case. So we were experimenting with using AI generative images for layers. So instead of going in and creating your image all at once, like I could ask Midjourney to create an image of a cowboy silhouette in Monument Valley with some rustic film grain over it. And that's great. And it might generate something very similar to this. But the only problem with that is if I want to go in and tweak any of those elements, I cannot separate any of these elements out. So when you want to use layers with Midjourney or Leonardo, you can create separate images and then use a program like Photoshop or Canva and add the images together as layers so that you have more control over each section of the image. So like I really liked the silhouette of this horse, but the lasso was a little wonky. I mean, it's not even like a full circle right there. And then I liked the overlay here of the sepia film grain, but it was a little too dark for me. And so when I'm able to go in and use these as layers, I'm able to control things and add all the elements together. So I got rid of the lasso here. I zoomed the cowboy and the horse up in, and then I made the transparency of the overlay here lower so that it wasn't so harsh. And that way you have more control over what you're creating. And then if I wanted to go and use this cowboy somewhere else on a different background, I could, because now he is his own vector file. And as far as tools we use this week, we played around with Visit. We've been experimenting with Kyber, which is animations and visuals that respond to music. And then I've been playing around with a little GPT that generates the alt text for your images, which helps that speed up that process. And if you are doing blogging or any type of SEO work on your website, then you will absolutely know how important that alt text is. And that is the news for this week.
Thank you very much, Katie.
You are welcome. Any
well-
questions about the images or any of the news stories?
Did you use Photoshop on that or Canva?
I did Canva on this one because I wanted to do something simple that like many people would have access to. A lot of people have switched from Photoshop to Canva, so I use Canva for this case, but you could use Photoshop.
So while you were doing that, I had an AI build a website for me with copy and images and everything. I just gave it a prompt and it did that. So I'll probably show that next week with a few more edits. But I've personally been trying out some of these web builders because I get asked about that a lot in the groups that I participate in and there's some interesting ones that are, there's one that's an extension for, and I'm not going to go into the names of these until we vetted them a bit more. But there's an extension that basically takes a snapshot of any site that you like and it'll code it up for you with HTML and build the site that's a copycat of something else. And you can add all of your elements to it. The one that I used, I gave it a really brief prompt. I could have given it a longer prompt, and looking at the site, I should have. I should have given it a bit more context. And it's building out a website that has store, about us, blog, price list, contact page. It has everything, and it built it out. I was kind of watching it in the background as Katie was going over the news. So it took probably about 10 minutes to build out the whole website. And
is it one of the ones that can be transferred over to like WordPress, or is it like
that's what I'm gonna find out. I think this one is published on its own platform.
Okay.
But that's an area that we've been playing in because there hasn't been anything really good yet. And there are a lot of people trying to address that problem of creating websites and landing pages quickly. And we also want them SEO'd. We also want them flexible and easy to update. You know, we want all of these things, and we want it to be AI powered. And we know we can use AI to build out, like to write all the copy for our websites. We do that in Jasper. But to actually build a website that functions, that lives on the internet, is a different story. And this one, I told it its name, and it changed the name throughout the website. And it actually gave the product a different name on the website. Even though I gave it the direction of the name. So, you know, it is where it is. This one looks like it was developed in Poland because it has my address as Warsaw, Poland.
Interesting. Yeah, I know there's a few different tools, and some of them are hosted like within their own entity. And then other ones I've seen, they're able to be like transferred over to WordPress or your preferred hosting provider once it's finished being made. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out.
Yeah, it sure will be. And this week I got done with doing 75 hard, which is and they call it more of a mindset challenge rather than a physical challenge. And I asked Mark Hard to build a custom GPT for 75 hard. And so it includes the transcripts from our accountability meetings, because one thing people ask a lot in the 75 hard groups are, what books are you reading? Because you're supposed to read 10 pages of a physical book each day. And so it includes that, which is taken from the transcripts from our chats. And we use Read AI, as you see in here. So it was the Read AI meeting notes plus information from the 75 hard website to create this 75 hard custom GPT. And Mark Har was able to complete that in, I don't know, less than half a day, probably. And then I have been putting it out there and have had a lot of people thank me for it. And they found it really useful. And when I queried it, I'm like, what books should I read? And it gives a list of books that we read that came from the meeting notes, because I wanted to check information that I knew it should have. And then I've been building out, and this one's going to take me a while. I'm doing a custom GPT to start, but I think it's going to need to be its own whole bot just because of the context window, which is the amount of information that a custom GPT can remember and stay, on track with. It's going to need to be an assistant or a bot, but it's for developing workout plans and nutrition plans based on women's cycles. And so certain times of the month we should like do more weights and heavier weights, and other times we should do yoga and not weights, because the effects that the hormones have on our bodies. And when we need to be more gentle, or when we do have more testosterone, to have to be able to get more results from lifting. So it's for anybody that ovulates or has ovulated, with uterus or without uterus, because our bodies are affected by this monthly cycle, whether we have those body parts or not anymore. And so I wanted to create it for myself, and then we'll see if, see about sharing it too. But I wanted to create a workout plan that has my workout routine with a checklist of what I'm doing for my workouts every week and for every cycle. And because I've worked with trainers and nobody can build a plan for me. I've worked with nutritionists too, and nobody can build that comprehensive plan that I want based on those parameters. And so I will use AI and have it help build it for me. Stephanie, anything fun you're working on?
I am building a spreadsheet. So I'm having Claude help me with that. And just talking to Claude or Claude,
Blood.
Claude. Yeah. Just to see if there's any improvements on the spreadsheets that I can make. That was just off the top of my head.
And you became Jasper certified.
And I became Jasper certified. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
A big celebration.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm really like preferring Jasper over Chat or Claude or anything else, because Jasper has all of the tools and features right into it, and then you can build the content right into it. So if I'm chatting with Claude or I'm chatting with Chat GPT, I have to go into a Google Doc, or I have to go into a Notion page and do it. And I really like that Jasper has it all in the one app. That's a game changer for me.
I was able to use Jasper over the weekend to so this is my last month of my master's program, and we're having to like do the thesis. Like last month was the capstone, this month is the actual thesis paper. And I dumped all my research, all the studies, and they're in the knowledge base. And I was like, I am not making this APA reference list by hand. Like AI is going to do that because that is the most boring thing to work on. And so I dumped it all into the knowledge base, and it literally created my APA citation reference list for me and referenced everything. There were like a couple of dates that like it couldn't figure out. So I just had to go in and fix the dates for the reference list, but it did that. And then it also helped me format my paper because we have to turn in like sections at a time. So we have to do like introduction and then chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. It helped me do all of that and format it based on like the template that our professor gave us. So I was like, this is so nice. Probably saved like 15 hours of work just figuring out the reference list because I think it was like 20 different studies that I had to reference. So
Amazing.
That just made me think. So I'm getting certified in project management right now, and I write out all my notes, but I learn best with like based on my notes, I'll make questions and answers like multiple choice, and that's how I like learn and memorize the information. So now I'm wondering if I can put all of my PMP notes and put it into Jasper and the knowledge base, and then have Jasper make me a question and answer like study guide.
Yeah.
probably.
And that would save me yeah. I've been doing it manually in Notion. I'm gonna try that out. What?
You'll have to let us know how that goes next week.
I will. I will. That's a good idea. Thank you, Jasper.
Yeah, I will say, it's funny that you're talking about taking notes because even though I do use AI and we have our Read AI note taker, there are like I still handwrite a lot of notes, just because it helps me remember them better. Yeah, I've got like a whole notebook here. So I think there's, definitely good that we can go back and reference our transcripts and everything and use those to dump in the knowledge base. But there is something nice about just using a handy dandy pen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine is sparkly and smells good too. My pen.
It smells good.
Yeah, like cherry. It's a gel pen.
Cool.
But not as scented anymore, but it's the experience. You get the whole experience. When you're using AI, you don't get this. I mean, this was like Willy Wonka, the smell-o-vision, so you can smell things and feel things. I guess you get to, well, you could just talk to it. You don't even have to feel your keys
Yeah.
when you're using some AI. Mackenzie, you're next in my lineup. How have you been using AI? Anything new, interesting this week?
I've got personal and professional. So personal, we're in the process of buying a new apartment. So it's helped me fulfill the need for 6 professional and personal reference letters per applicant. So thank you, AI, for me to be like, here is your reference of me, please sign. And it's also helped me be like, just take a picture of your for the non-tech savvy people. Just take a picture of your signature. Hey, ChatGPT, can you make this transparent so I can just put it into the document? So that's been useful. And then professionally, we've been really happy with using Canva to create videos. So my team is moving forward with that without my what used to be probably like a 120-hour project. They were like, well, I ended up just doing 5 videos anyway because I got kind of liked it. Can I proceed with the rest of them? I think it'll take me like another 20 hours. I'm like, Yeah, I estimated over 120 for this, so the videos look great. Keep going. And we will be proceeding using Nifty CRM for our chatbot and having Jeff build our chatbot for us. And they've offered to actually build 3 bots for us because we have 3 different websites with slightly different information. When before our chat feature was kind of like we wrote it in an evergreen way to make it fit for both, but it was never perfect. Now he's just going to build out 3 for us. So very good week.
That's excellent. That's like 100 hours of savings on video.
And better video. The other thing is like the videos are just going to be exponentially better than what we could have built too.
That's amazing. I am happy for you. And the reference letter for an apartment. Or buying a condo, like I get that. We had here when I was making the submissions, I think I might have done it in Canva, but I created almost a flyer selling us with pictures of us and references on it, what our jobs were, previous landlords, like everything. And then I would text it to people because I wanted to get through. I might email it too, but I'd text it to them too. And they would say that it was that smile, the smile and cute picture of us that got their attention because here it's really competitive too.
Be careful, they're gonna put you on the board because they're gonna like all your work.
Luckily we live in a dictatorship here. For better or worse. Marikar, how are you using AI? We know you built a GPT that's very popular now.
Yeah. And while we're talking about GPT, I just created another GPT, would help me in law school because I just created a GPT that can digest cases because when we read case, there's a bunch of pages. So I just created GPT that can give me the facts of the case, the issue of the case, the legal implication, and even the dissenting opinion of the other justice. So
Oh,
here is it. I just created. Wait. Just here.
and Marikar is our heaviest user of Jasper because we get a dashboard and I see and Marikar, like her use of Jasper just dwarfs all of us in comparison.
Yeah, actually, I really love to use Jasper, especially when it comes to blogs and on also in Pinterest and social media posting. When it comes to blogs, because we have a client that about winches and everything about boats, which honestly, as a law student and a financial management graduate, I don't have any like idea when Andrea said that create a blog about winches, captions, like, huh? How can I do it? I don't have
I
any
know.
idea about it.
It's so hard to write about winches. Like,
How should I do it? Like, how should I do it? And I'm not an engineer. And then when you guys introduced me to Jasper, and like, oh my gosh, like, oh, and because I need to look at what I did is I put it on all the knowledge base, like the products of the winches captions to Jasper as a knowledge base, and then do some research about um, the company, and then voila.
Yeah.
It just takes me like 30 minutes to for one blog, and then I think our client just edit a little bit but not all of it.
Yeah, we used to be writing those by hand And we have to have the engineers look over the blog posts. And now Marakar can write the blog posts that engineers approve. And none of us know about winches and capstans and, oceanographic research vessel equipment. And thanks to AI, we can include everything, all of their specs, and make it sound good. So good job, Marakar.
And here's what I created while we're talking about GPTs earlier here and here. Like I just give it a case, and then it give me a factual background. What's the legal issue about it? What's the court analysis and the legal principle and the decision? If I would do it all by myself, I think it would take me an hour or 2 hours to do it. And then if I had a lot of case to read and then I have no time, at least I have a gist when it comes to recitation, and I don't have to do it like, because sometimes they would give us around like 30 cases a day, and then sometimes I don't read all of them, but through this GPT, I think even I don't read all of them, but I would have at least a gist or something to tell on the class, not just standing there till the class was over.
That's awesome.
And I would like to thank the level two because it really helped me. Because on level two, right, we create this one. You and Katie and Nicole teach us how to create GPTs.
Marikar, do you think a lot of your classmates, like in law school, do you think they use AI, or are you
Yeah.
the only one?
They use AI, but in the wrong way. Like
Yeah, in the wrong.
yeah, because they don't even check it. Like they would use it. I just used it AI, and then they don't even check because um before we have a research our professor asked us to create a research about like a search about a case about cyber libel, and then they go to ChatGPT, and then we know that ChatGPT can create a cases that are not existing. So like my professor said, oh, a lot of you guys, I knew that you got it from ChatGPT because not 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 all the cases are existing, and seeing the title of their topics on research, like some of them has a list. Oh, they got it from oh, they created this from ChatGPT, or oh, like
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another thing that Jasper can do is you can eliminate all of those words. You can just create a list of all the words that are AI dead giveaways. And then one of the things that AI tends to do is make language flowery. Well, people describe it as flowery. And the way to take away flowery language is ask for it to not use as many adjectives. Or not use any adjectives. And then it gets rid of the floweriness of the language. This summer, we are going to be running a free training for university students who are juniors and seniors in marketing, business, and entrepreneurship. And so, Mackenzie, if you have ties to schools, we're going to be putting the waiting list up soon and taking applications for this. But we want university students to know how to use AI and know how to use it properly. And so we're going to be doing a project-based summer program where it's like our level one. They're going to go through and learn all of the things, and they're going to be applying it as they go.
That's awesome.
On the topic of GPTs, so Dawn is the lawyer that we've had on here before. And I asked Dawn, I said, if I'm using the intellectual property from somebody else to build a GPT, is that legal? Is it illegal? Is it something I should not be doing? and if I'm just doing it for personal use and not making money. And so here's the message that Don sent that sums up our conversation. He said, here's my rule of thumb. Ideas are not protected, but actual text, art, and film are protected. And so instead of training the GPT on one source where you know the work is one book, if you can use multiple sources, then you're more likely to get specific ideas as opposed to text, and protect against any potential copyright violations. And for example, if you did like Napoleon Hill's doing a GPT of Think and Grow Rich, you could do something that has more of Napoleon Hill's. He has multiple books, and have it be on the power of positive thinking or something like that, and use multiple sources of knowledge if you want to build a more generic GPT. Because I was thinking about this after we made the 75 hard GPT. And there's so many bots and GPTs that are trained on specific people's outlines or programs or methodologies. And when I was looking, there were already a few 75 hard GPTs out there. There's also StoryBrand GPTs. There are these other things that are copyrighted names. And I think that's something that we're going to see, is anything that is using someone else's name and it's not allowed. I think those will probably end up coming out of the GPT store and not being able to be used. In the future at some point. I do not know when that's going to happen, but I'd say think about how you use the information and how you put the information out there, because there's still copyright on the names. I mean, if somebody has it registered. So if somebody's registered 75 hard, and if we're making money off of it, that's illegal. And we could have a GPT that's supportive, and having it out there as a personal use tool is a gray area right now. And so I know a lot of people are building these different bots and GPTs, and probably thousands of them have other people's names on them because they want to be found under those principles or that program or something like that. And so we tend to be more conservative on the intellectual property here. And I wanted to bring that up as something, as we're making bots and as we're experimenting, to just be aware of the areas that you could get in trouble. If you're making all these bots and you're making them public, and especially if you're selling them, if they just need to be completely your information, and anything that is public access. If it's a book or a piece of art, it needs to be over 100 years old, for it to be in the open, and if you want it to be open, it needs to be over 100 years old. And people are making books. They're making a lot of money on Amazon from putting new covers on old books that are over 100 years old. Which is, it's a niche. It's one of those things and they exist. There's a lot of good older books.
Yeah.
So thoughts, comments, questions? Katie?
I was just thinking, taking a AI cover and putting it on Shakespeare, that seems that seems really I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, it was even before AI that people were doing that. They would just put new, nicer covers on books because on Amazon it's visual. So if it looks better, like some people were doing it on Winnie the Pooh books, and some others that I saw, because I met a guy who that's all he did is sold old digital books on Amazon and made a cover that people would buy.
I think it'll I think it'll be really big in like the child and like children's books. Um, because if you like modernize like The Wizard of Oz or something, and then when like the Witch of the Wicked West, you could actually use the AI to like make the magic or like make it more like AI powered to make it
Oh my
more like
goodness.
interesting or yeah, so that could actually be a really cool niche to modernize like the old classics.
Well, it's funny because there's like two sides of the coin. So I collect antiques and antique books and everything. So I go out looking for the really old ones, the originals and everything. But then there's this whole other industry and market that they're creating the new covers with more modern relevancy. So yeah, very interesting. I hadn't thought about that before. It would be fun to do like a little case study to see what books perform better and like what type of imagery performs better.
Yeah, I mean that's Netflix thrives on that, right? And they test out different covers because they have such an audience going after it. Um, and if you have those kind of eyeballs on your content, you can test it really fast and see what wins. I when I look at my Netflix, I'm always curious when they change out pictures and like why they serve this image up for me and why they think I would click on it. Because they do that by the user. And now there's AI to power all of this too. Like with the Jasper use, because they bought ClickUp, they've got that API access, and then Adidas is using them to serve up location-based images when somebody's looking at shoes. So if I'm looking at shoes in Vancouver, I'm going to have different backgrounds than somebody in Chicago or New York.
Hmm.
Yeah. Personalization, you'll have like there's some digital footprint of me that I can't see that's like all around with my interests and my age and all of that AI is going to pick up on and serve up what I want or what it thinks that I want.
Yeah, Chris and I were having a discussion about this because he's big into Reddit, and Reddit kind of shifted gears into the personalization marketing recently, and he hates it because it's not the way that he's used to browsing Reddit. So if
Oh,
he clicks on a sub just once, that sub will start showing up in his feed. And even though he's not following or joined that sub, it'll just start showing up. And he's like, I only clicked on it one time because I just wanted to look at this one thing. And it's not because I want to look at it every single day. So, and we were having a conversation about personalized marketing because I prefer personalized marketing on Facebook. I like it when things are directed toward me. But I do wonder sometimes, if I'm not seeing other cool things that maybe I'd be interested in because like it thinks it knows me so well that it's only showing me this limited
mhm.
amount of information. Um, so yeah, he was saying that he's changed the way that he browses Reddit now because he's afraid of the machine learning his patterns. So he'll just go and click on like random stuff to make sure he's showing himself other news that's normally not in his wheelhouse.
Yeah. Yeah. I get no political anything in any of my feeds. And then I go to the US and I turn on a TV and I am just like shocked by the things happening. But none of it comes into my social feeds because of how their algorithms assess me.
Um,
Do you get
I
that
will.
stuff, Mackenzie?
Gonna say I don't know what you're doing to not get that, but I definitely get a lot of political fanfare, but that also could be stemming from living in, like, being from two very polar places, from the Midwest and from New York, like super liberal, super right
Mhm.
wing. So that's whatever. Those are my people. I don't know. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah, I have a similar experience on my feed because I grew up in the South, but then because we hopped around so much in the camper and lived in so many different cities, like my feed is just like, I feel like it's a very healthy mix of both sides of
That's
the
good.
but I will say my Netflix is very curated to me. And Chris and I have different profiles because I watch a lot of horror and thriller and mystery shows, and he does not like that at all. So when we watch TV together, we log on to his profile, and then when I go on, I go on his mine.
We do the same thing because Tom always has so much. I don't know. He watches every war show that there is. Like World War II, Civil War, doesn't matter. He watches all that stuff, and that stuff never pops up in mine. So if we watch something together, it's usually on his account too, because that would mess up my algorithm. Like I can only watch that stuff in small doses.
Yeah.
That's gonna become a catchphrase. We can't use my account because it's gonna mess with my algorithm or something like
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
Well-
I have a separate ChatGPT account from the one that everybody else on my team uses because I literally don't want them to mess up my
Mhm.
GPTs. Like, I trained them, okay? I don't want you messing them up.
Yep.
There's gonna be that new there was some video I was watching about the petty things that people did after a breakup, like messing with their ex's algorithm in a, on YouTube or something like that, by clicking a lot of mom blogger videos. And I think with AI, then we're gonna have next level with that too.
Oh yeah.
It's
Um,
interesting that you brought up Netflix. I was just browsing around on their website, and they have an entire research area dedicated to machine learning, AI, consumer insights, NLP, and conversations. So if that's something that someone's interested in, it goes on and on. There's like research articles, blogs, and like all this stuff that I had no idea existed for Netflix, but it's available to the public, and they're showing their own case studies and everything. So that's a whole rabbit hole you could go into.
Interesting.
I did have
Yeah,
another question for you guys for AI tools. So we were using a AI detection tool previously for our blog writing, and that tool is no longer free. So I was just curious, do you have any free tools that you guys do to even if it was written using AI, to plug it in and be like, okay, this is 98% written by a human, 2% detection of AI or plagiarism or whatever.
Yeah, well, so Jasper will guarantee plagiarism free. That's one of their things, or like 99% plagiarism free. And some of the tests on the tools from the people that I've been talking to is you pay for the tool, and even 100% handwritten, human written stuff was showing like 98% AI.
Mm.
And so there's this debate about whether the tools are good at detecting or good at getting people to pay for the tool.
I will say, like, the plagiarism checkers are nice. Grammarly has a free plagiarism checker, and that is nice because the plagiarism ones will show if your content is very similar to another piece of content out there. So maybe like you used a blog, another website or something as reference material, and maybe your quote, you didn't like rewrite it, or you didn't use enough of your own language, but then your material. So it will cross-reference the other websites that are out there as far as plagiarism goes. But as far as AI detection, exactly what Nicole said, like that it will detect human writing as AI. So it's not that great. But yeah, we have to use plagiarism checkers for any graduate level work that we're submitting. It has to be over a certain percentage. So
I guess, so are you guys not, are you using any tools for AI detection or just plagiarism?
I personally use the plagiarism checker. I don't find any, like, I think the general consensus is the AI detectors are not very consistent.
Okay.
Would you agree with that, Nicole?
Yeah. And you can also ask AI to write things that are undetectable as AI, and it will change them around. But I think for us, it's more important that we have standard like SOPs, but that we have a standard of writing our pieces so that whoever is writing it knows, like, this is how we do it. We use the voice, we use this style guide, we use these, like, this is the methodology that keeps it from sounding like AI, or that keeps it from sounding repetitive. Yeah. And then we always have the human element to it too. Like, don't publish straight and have somebody go in and make it feel human, so that AI might do 80%, we're still doing 20%.
Do you have to write an AMA format for your work,
We
Mackenzie?
do write an AMA, yes.
Okay.
So we have our standard, like we have our SOP for blog writing and everything. We're just trying to find that balance of human versus AI. And one of like the sure factors is have an AI checker that just tells you if it looks like AI or not. But
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems with that is because when the AI tools get updated, sometimes the common words change. So for a while, we were seeing a lot of unlocked and unleashed, and now sometimes that still happens, but now it's kind of shifted into other words like embarked. And whether you're this or that, like there are certain phrases that AI will use, and it shifts based on the updates. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why the AI detectors are not that consistent, because every time an AI tool gets updated, I don't know if the AI detector is getting updated too. Like it could just be looking for certain patterns, certain sentence structures, and that sort of thing. So for like a lot of my graduate level work, I have to follow AP format, and I just make sure that I think it's similar in AMA, but there's a certain amount of words that you can use directly from a source before it becomes plagiarism. And then that's like kind of what I use the plagiarism checkers for, to make sure I didn't use too many words, outside of a quote or something. And you can set those guidelines too. But we have not ran into that problem because we use Jasper for the majority of our copywriting.
thank you guys.
Yeah. Are you using Jasper right now?
No.
Okay. Yeah, the style guide in there is really helpful for setting the standards and having it applicable across everybody.
Yeah, what we need to just figure out now is like that balance of like, can we use AI to write content or not? Or what's the balance of like AI versus human?
Yeah. Yeah. Because if it can get you 80% of the way there, then that's good, but you still need your humans to
Yeah.
provide that voice of expertise. And also, I feel like you're just kind of rounding out the edges, like AI spits out these Lego blocks and you're like sanding the edges, making them look soft and like nice and feel good. Because I have it write stuff in my conversational voice. And of course, I always go in and change some things. And if I see unleashed, unplugged, thrilled, I can't tell you the amount of times I see the word thrilled out there in people's Instagram posts, in their email newsletters, in their LinkedIn posts. And so even if it would be an authentic thrilled, now it just sounds inauthentic. Yeah. Okay, well, any other questions, Mackenzie, comments?
That was the one for today.
Okay. I think it's been another nice week at the AI Unplugged Mastermind. And I look forward to seeing everyone.